Welcome again, everyone, to another Narc Survivor live video. Just checked into this new room. I'm near Osaka in Japan. Still just exploring, driving around, traveling. So straight to it. In this one, a very important topic. And by the end of it, you will know how the narcissist feels when you cut them off. Before I begin, do show your support down below by giving this video a thumbs up. It helps to support the YouTube algorithm and gets this message out there to other survivors. So let's begin, let's get straight into it. I know it may seem like very egotistical. They're very full of themselves. They think they're the best. And it's as though you need them, they don't need you. That's the narrative that they portray, which doesn't really make any sense because they are always there. They're always around you. It's like you can't get rid of them, and yet they make you feel like you're the one who needs them and they don't need you. That's how they make it seem. So, those of you who haven't gotten to this point where you have cut the narcissist off or gone no contact, you might assume that maybe they just won't even care. It won't even bother them. They won't even notice. But actually, they will notice, and they will be very sensitive to that rejection. Because there is nothing that hurts a narcissist more than rejection. So when you cut them off, it will cause a narcissistic injury, which will be followed by narcissistic rage. Yes, they will get very angry. But don't get it wrong. They're not angry because they love you or because they miss you. It's nothing like that at all. And this goes for whether you're dealing with a full-blown narcissist or someone who has narcissistic traits. I mean, just anyone who is not empathic, anyone who lacks empathy, anyone who is not an empath, which means that they do not possess high amounts of affective empathy. And what affective empathy is, as someone who has high amounts of it, I can tell you, if I see someone in pain, in distress, that hurts me. I might even feel it as if it's happening to me. And it doesn't have to be physical pain. It could be someone going through emotional distress, psychological trauma. I will feel that just as much as they do. I will take it on as if it is my own pain. And before I became an awakened empath, I might have even assumed that it was my pain more than anyone else's. And it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time. I mean, if you're around another empath, you can both use this beautiful gift to share with each other, to love each other, to understand each other. But when you're around narcissists, they will use this gift against you. Yes, they will use your affective empathy against you. And it will feel like a curse when you are around them. Because they feel a lot of shame and a lot of pain, which they will project onto you. And because of your empathy, you will identify with it. You will take it on as if it's your own. But as I said, when you cut them off and it makes them very angry, that has nothing to do with you as a person. It's not that they miss you or love you or that they care about you. It doesn't work that way with people who are not empaths, people who lack affective empathy. Because it's that affective empathy that gives us the ability to connect to another person, to be able to feel and understand their experience and emotions as if it was our own. I mean, that's really what a true connection or true intimacy is. And yet, believe it or not, but only 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths who possess high affective empathy, which means that true connection and intimacy is actually very rare. But back to the narcissist, or those who have narcissistic traits, you got to look at it like this. Everything that they perceive, it's from their brain. Their brain, just as ours does, it gives us the ability to perceive things. It allows us to have these 5 senses: sight, smell, taste, hearing, touch. These are our 5 senses, which are controlled by the brain. Take the brain away, you can't perceive of anything. So everything that they perceive of is through their brains. And when they're interacting with us, as with anyone else, it is their personal experience, which is separate from our experience. So how they perceive of us when they're interacting with us, it may have very little to do with who we actually are or how we perceive ourselves. I mean, because even if we are presenting ourselves authentically, it doesn't mean that they are receiving us in that same way. Unless, of course, if they do possess high amounts of affective empathy. If they are one of the few people in this world who are empathic. Because as an empath myself, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, you can feel another person's emotions and pain. And especially if you are an awakened empath, you know exactly what they are feeling. Even if they don't openly reveal it to you. Because you can feel it as if it's your own emotions. But when you become an awakened empath, you can then disidentify from it. You can then recognize, hold on a minute, these are not my feelings or emotions. And what can help you to do that as well is when you realize that before interacting with them, you didn't feel that way. So where did that energy come from? Obviously it came from them. But also, when they come around us, I mean, as empaths, many of us are high vibrational people. And when they come around us, they sense that we are happy and contented, that we can experience joy. And because they can't experience these higher frequencies, it makes them very mad. And you will see it straight away. They will try to pull you down to their level. And they don't even have to do anything. All they have to do is just be near you. That's enough to bring your vibration down. Because as an empath, you can immediately sense it. So, you really need to see it like this. Because this is the reality of it. And it may completely change how you thought about them up until this point. And not just how you thought about the narcissist, but people in general. I mean, just remember how everything that we perceive of, it's all operated by our brains. And without that affective empathy, it's like we are kind of cut off from the world. A person who is low in affective empathy, they kind of live in this world inside their heads with a population of one, which means it's just them. There's no room for anyone else to come in. Because they're unable to empathize. They're unable to feel or understand another person's emotions and experiences as if they were their own. And this is why the world is the way that it is today. This is why empaths are so rare, why there's so many wars, so much problems with divorces, relationships, families. It's because most people, they do not have the ability to feel and understand another person's emotions and experiences as if they were their own. Most people do not have the ability to do that. So even when you cut off the narcissist and it looks like they're so mad, that's all just anger, frustration, and shame. And it's disconnected from any experience with you. It doesn't mean that there is a connection between you and them. It doesn't mean that at all. They're just at the effect of you cutting them off. And then they are responding to it to try to keep you down so that they can then elevate themselves at your expense. They have cognitive empathy where they can read, they can detect how you are feeling. I mean, even a child can do that. They can tell when you're happy, when you're sad. They know what to do to push your buttons, to make you angry or upset. Even a child can do that. But the gay effect of empathy is to actually feel another person's emotions as if they were our own. Now, narcissists cannot do that. And this is how you may have noticed they can really hurt you. They can cause you a lot of emotional or even physical pain. And it's like it doesn't even bother them. It doesn't even affect them. But for me, if I see someone in pain, like if I see a homeless person on the street, I just have to help them out. If I see a cat or a dog crossing the road and it looks like a car is about to hit it, then it will affect me. I might flinch. I will experience something in reaction to it. And although at times people may make me angry, they may upset me, I don't desire to hurt them. Even in the rare case where if I did do that, I would have to make it up to them somehow. What I'm describing is affective empathy. This is something we feel as empaths. Empaths are 1 to 2% of the world's population. Other people do not feel that. They can quite easily watch you in pain, leave you in pain and not do anything about it. And not feel any need to be there for you, to support you, or to resolve it. Most people can quite easily do that. and feel nothing. It won't even affect them because they lack effective empathy. They do not feel or share your feelings and experience as if it was their own. So they have an inability to really be vulnerable or to connect. And this is how you know that even when you cut the narcissist off and then they go straight away to their new supply, they flaunt it in front of your face to try to make you jealous. What they have isn't even real. It's not even real. They have an inability to be vulnerable or to connect or to experience true love, intimacy, joy. And you should already know that. Because if they have the ability to do that and to care about another person, why didn't they care about you? How were they able to watch you in distress and not step in, not do anything to support you or to resolve it? This is how you know. Wherever they go, whatever they do, whoever they are with, they are still miserable. They're still not happy. They still don't care about anyone but themselves. They're still imprisoned psychologically in their own minds, in this world inside their heads with a population of 1. Meaning there's no room for anyone else but themselves in there. And it's because they chose a different path, as most people do when they're children. When they experience a traumatic event, when they're going through something as a child, whether it's abuse or neglect, whatever it is. I mean, we all experience trauma in our childhood. And the reality is that most people, they are not strong enough to choose the right path, to choose to be empathic rather than narcissistic. So what happens is that during this time in their childhood, when they experience abuse or neglect or whatever it is, because they're too weak to deal with the shame, they avoid it, they deny it, they deflect it, they just don't go inwards to deal with it. And their parents aren't there to guide them through it, to make them feel better, to help them to regulate. So what happens instead is they become shame-based people. And they never learn effective empathy. Which means that they never have this incredible ability like many of us have on here, as rare as we may be, to actually connect to someone and feel what they feel, as if those were our own feelings. So this is what you have to realize. With not just these narcissists, with most people in this world. And I'm sure many of you have realized this already. Most people do not feel what you feel. They do not care the way that you care. I hate to say it, but the truth is, a lot of you who are watching this, I mean, we have to consider that most definitely there's no more than 15% of the world's population who actually have full-blown narcissistic personality disorder. Of course, yes, there is covert narcissism as well, and those who just have narcissistic traits. But I would say that many of you, you may actually just have been dealing with someone who's not too far off normal. But you may assume that they are narcissists because they don't seem to care. They don't feel what you feel. Truth is, that's going to be the case with most people in this world. They are not going to feel what you feel. They are not going to care so much. They're going to be more worried about themselves more than anyone else. Because most people are not empaths. Most people are not looking to put other people before themselves, like you or I. So it doesn't always mean that you were dealing with a narcissist. Of course, if you have witnessed the traits such as the arrogance, the sense of entitlement, the grandiosity, the narcissistic injury, the narcissistic rage, if you've witnessed all of that, definitely makes it more likely that you are dealing with a narcissist. But even then, we cannot diagnose. What you need to know, what you need to understand, is that there are very few people in this world who will care the way that you care, and who will feel the way that you feel. And how do I know that? Well, for a start, you're watching my videos. This information resonates with you. You obviously care enough about that narcissist you were dealing with and that relationship that you were in to come on to here and watch this video. And right now, it's over 28 minutes in. Shows how much you care. Shows how much it means to you. Reality is that most people in this world, they're not going to care that much. But I'm not here to judge whether or not you actually were dealing with a narcissist. I'm sure that many of you were. But also many viewers likely were not. They have been someone with narcissistic traits, maybe a covert narcissist, or it could have just been a normal person. Normal people, they actually do not care that much about other people. They really don't. I mean, just look around at the world. There's wars all over the world. There's people who are homeless. They've got nowhere to go. No money, no food. Do most people seem to care? No. They don't care. Like I said, most people in the world are living in a world inside their own heads. And they're the only ones in there. Because most people are not empaths. They have an inability to connect to other people, to feel their emotions and experience as if it was their own. And this is very important for you to be aware of. And this is why I really want to drive this home. Because in my own experience, I remember when I tried to cut the narcissist off, when I rejected them, I was shocked. Because I was thinking, all of this time, you devalued me. You made me feel like I'm not important, like you don't really care about me, like I don't matter. And now I'm trying to leave, I'm trying to cut you off. And suddenly, now it's like I'm like the most important person in the world. And you could be fooled. Especially if they come back and they try to love bomb you again. They make you believe that this time they're actually about something. It could fool you into thinking, into believing that they actually care. Like they actually feel your pain after everything they did to you, after how they treated you. Yeah, it could fool you into believing that, as it kind of did for me on a few occasions. But no, when you see, when you try to cut them off, and you see them react in that way, where it looks like finally they care so much, they actually don't care about you at all. It's still all about themselves. They only care about themselves. Most people in this world only care about themselves. They do not feel what you feel. They only feel for themselves. I'm sorry to say, but that is the truth. We've only got to look around at this world and see all of the pain, all of the suffering in this world. There's so much poverty. There's so many things that people are going through, and the reality is that most people do not care. They really don't. And it's very different to many of us who are here right now because you're watching my video. I already know that many of you are just like me. You may be highly intuitive, highly perceptive, empathic. You have this ability to read into other people's experiences. You can put yourself in their shoes. And for that reason, you may choose to spend a lot of time alone, because it's hard taking on other people's energies all of the time. You don't really like being in public spaces too much. But when you see someone in pain, it's like you just can't help it. You want to step in. Even if you know that it's going to affect you. You might even put your life on the line just to help someone in need. You might do whatever it takes. You may be the type of person to jump in front of a bullet for someone you don't even know. Because it's that empathic concern. It's something that you've learned in childhood. Sadly, it does tend to come from abuse. We were abused as children, possibly by a narcissistic parent who made us believe that their feelings and experience are more important than our own. So we will sacrifice ourselves for other people just to make them happy, even when we're not getting anything out of it. And that is real connection, real intimacy. But believe it or not, a lot of people, they are actually repelled by that. And you may have noticed this with the narcissist that you were dealing with. Dr. Ramani did a video on this as well, where she said that narcissists actually hate our empathy. And they are very jealous of it. Because they can't experience at a deep level like we can. They can't connect, they can't get the same fulfillment. Because they chose a different path. They were too weak in their childhood to deal with that shame. We weren't, we self-loathed. We confronted it. And many times we confronted it on our own. Our parents weren't even there for us. We regulated our own emotions, but narcissists couldn't do that. So instead they abandoned their true selves when they were children. And then they created a false self who's all powerful, but also very manipulative. They have to manipulate people or abuse them so that they can regulate their emotions, because they never learned how to do that on their own in their childhood. So when you cut them off, they're not actually feeling anything for you. Everything they're feeling is just for themselves. They have an inability to connect to you. And it may really shock you when you see their reaction. It's like the entire time they never even cared about you. It's like they never even knew that you were there half the time, unless they needed something from you. But then as soon as you cut them off, now they're all over you. Now they're pulling out all of the stops to sabotage you, to prevent you from moving on. They will spread rumors behind your back. They will gossip about you to other people. They will try to get you fired from your job. They will try to affect you financially. They will start a smear campaign against you. They will stalk and harass you. But even then, all of these things they are doing, it's not because they care about you. It's not because they love you or they miss you or that they want to be with you. It's nothing to do with that at all. It's all for themselves. Because they're losing their supply and their entire identity, their false identity. It revolves around you. It revolves around manipulating and controlling you and keeping you in a certain state or condition. Because if you can move on from them and you become successful in your work, you get into a new relationship, you're happy, you get married, you start a family, whatever it is, all of these things, it affects their false sense of self, which is tied to your position in life. It's tied to you being unable to move on. So they have to prevent you from moving on. And of course, since they're narcissistic, they don't have effective empathy, they can't be vulnerable, they have an inability to connect. They don't care the way that you care. They don't feel the way that you feel. So all of these things that they're doing to you, whether they're stalking you, harassing you, gossiping about you, maybe they got you fired from your work, you lost all of your money because of them, maybe they sabotaged your new relationship, they turned everyone against you. They're doing all of these things and they do not care. They're not feeling your pain or distress. It's not doing anything to them. We are nothing alike. They are nothing like us. Their brains are very different. I mean, I can tell you, if I see my cat, Nala, as an example, when I would see her being sick, because sometimes it would happen, you know, when I'm traveling, it's hard to get the same food sometimes. So there are occasions where I've had to change the foods or the treats. And then later that day or the following day, I would see her being sick on the floor. And it's such a horrible experience for me. It just goes right through me. I feel it in every part of my body. And it makes me feel sick as well. It makes me feel hurt. And it just makes me want to do whatever I can to help her from going through that experience. And of course, to prevent it from happening again. Because I feel it. It's affecting me. But believe it or not, when they're doing these things to you, it is not affecting them. They do not care the way that you care about them. They do not feel the way that you feel about them. They just do not feel the way that we feel. But they try to trick and mislead you by making you think, oh no, it's not that I don't care. It's not that I can't be vulnerable or I can't be intimate. No, I just can't do that with you. That's what it is. That's what they want you to think. And then they run off, they ride off into the sunset with their new supply. Looks like they're living their best lives. But that is not physically possible. It's not possible for that to happen. Because if they can just move on and care about someone else, they would have cared about you. They would have felt your pain. And they would have done everything in their power to prevent it. To make things right. So it is all a lie. It is all fake. How you do one thing is how you do everything. If you can just sit back and see someone going through it and not step in, that means you are not an empath. It means you lack effective empathy. It means that you are essentially imprisoned in your own mind. And you are unable to connect to another person. That is exactly what that means. As crazy as that sounds, that's exactly how it is for them. And it's not something that is ever going to change. Because they have a different perception, a different concept of winning, of being powerful, of being strong. I mean, quite clearly to us, what's most important? It's connection, true love, intimacy. That is what matters to all of us here. I mean, that's why you're all here, isn't it? It's because you didn't get that from the narcissist. And you didn't get that because that's not a concern to them. They can't even experience any of that anyway. They're more concerned with power and control through manipulation and deception. That's all that they're concerned with. So anything that you see where it looks like they're involved with another person, it is all fake. There's no connection. There's no love. There's no intimacy. It's just potentially two people who are having separate experiences. I mean, they're there physically together when you see them in the pictures, but they're not actually there. They're not fully experiencing each other. And that's how it looks like they could just move on. And now everything's so much easier for them. Everything's going so well now with this new person. Because it's different. It's not like how they had to deal with you. Where you're this empathic person. You actually care, you actually feel. You're worried about a connection, about intimacy, about love. All of these things. The new person is not too concerned about that. It's not a big deal for them. Like I said, like attracts like. They find people who are like themselves. We just got tricked. We weren't really attracted to them. You're not attracted to the narcissist. You may think that you are. I mean, I don't want to dictate your feelings, but I want to help you to see that this person that you think you're attracted to, no, actually, you're attracted to the false character. It doesn't even exist. I mean, look at who they actually are. This manipulative, abusive, deceptive person. Of course, you're not attracted to that. You don't want to be with someone who abuses and manipulates. You really want to be treated with love and respect. And that's not who they are. So you don't really love them. You don't really even want them. You never did. They just tricked you into thinking that you did. And they trick you into thinking that they've moved on and now they have what you wanted with someone else. When that's just another lie. They've just found someone who's more like themselves. Someone who's more narcissistic. They lack empathy. They have an inability to be vulnerable or to connect or to be intimate or to experience real love. So their needs are very much the same. They don't really care about each other. They don't feel. They just don't feel. And something like that, it can actually work quite well, especially in the beginning. Or at least they can present it very well. Because neither of them are concerned with intimacy, love, or connection. Neither of them can experience that. They're just more concerned with superficial things, the image. So they can put on a great show for you. And they can make it very believable too. But you couldn't do that with them because you cared about them. They didn't care about you. You felt their feelings as if they were your own. They did not feel your feelings as if they were their own. So there were all of these arguments, and they would start arguments a lot too, because they do know they're not completely detached. They know where they belong. They know that we are empaths. And they know that we feel on a very deep level. We're far more sensitive than they are. At least in terms of intimacy and connection. When it comes to anger, hatred, envy, jealousy, and frustration, they're far more sensitive to that than we are. But they will try to project these emotions onto us as well. But this is what you have to understand when you are dealing not just with narcissists, but most people in this world. Because if you Google it, you will find statistics show that only 1 to 2% of the world's population are empaths. And even then, how many of those are healed and awakened empaths? Probably very few of that 1 to 2%. And this is why I already know those of you who are empaths, you feel very alone. You feel like no one understands you. No one feels what you feels. No one cares about other people, animals, the environment, in the way that you do. The reason why you feel that way is because it's true. Your feelings are correct. 100% correct. And it makes sense because I don't believe that it was always this way if we managed to make it this far as a population. But now, at this point, empaths are a dying breed. There's becoming less and less of us in the world. And narcissism is being promoted. I do believe that there is an agenda at an elite level. They're deliberately pushing this on us. And they're using every possible method that they can to do this. And it's because they don't want us to reach our true power, which is where we are empathic. It's our higher ability, higher frequency. They want to keep us all down because then we are easier to control. If everybody is vibrating at a higher level, we're all at the vibration of love, that is very difficult for the powers that be to control. Of course, if we're all experiencing a lot of anger, fear, guilt, shame, even desire or pride, that is very easy for them to control. So this is why when you look around, it's why the world is the way that it is today. As sad as that is, that's why. And the reality is that most people do not care about that, even if they are already aware of it. Most people only care about themselves. They're not concerned about other people in the way that we are. That's why it's very important for us to have our own community of like-minded people, other empaths. It's really good that we have this, where other people understand. Because that's really what we need, is more understanding. People who understand each other. Most people in this world, they are more about separation. They're more about their own groups of people. They're not about diversity, coming together. But that is exactly what the world needs. That's what we should be encouraging in this world. But it's unlikely that it will ever get to that point. Because the reality is that most people only care about themselves, and they're just using each other to manipulate and control to get their own needs met, because that's all they're really concerned with. It's their own emotional regulation and maintaining this false sense of self around manipulating and controlling us. So back to the narcissist. How they feel when you cut them off. Yeah, they feel a lot of anger and frustration, but that's only for themselves. It's not for you. They don't really care about you. They don't really see you. They don't really feel you. It's just all about themselves. They're imprisoned in a world inside their minds with a population of one. It's just them and no one else. There's no room for anyone else in their heads. Keep in mind, everything is experienced through our brains. But with empaths, it's a very different experience. We can share another person's feelings and experience in our own minds, in our own brains. And that is incredible. That is true connection, true love, true intimacy. I do see a lot of hateful troll comments coming in now, though. I mean, I'm just going to call them out. We've got to start shaming these people. Manda Jambali says, you are a demon. Akash Bhattacharya says, you look like psychopath. Kartik Qatar is telling me to remove my glasses. What else have we got here? Gary Beerboy says, you're like a villain in a movie. Akash Bhattacharya says, he's just talking shit. Farah for you says, hi Baldy. Hello. Shampoo says, WTF are you speaking? These are all perfect examples of what will happen if you go to a narcissist. And actually, I'm telling you, if you go to anyone, most people in this world, if you go to them, this could be your own family, your own friends, people who are meant to be the closest people to you. And if you feel like they're not hearing you, they're not listening to you, they don't care about you, just go to them and tell them, I don't feel like you care about me. I don't feel like you're hearing me, you're not listening to me, you're neglecting me. I don't feel like you're my mother, father, brother, sister, friend, relationship partner, whatever it is, husband, wife, child. Go to them and say that and watch how they react. That will tell you what exactly you are dealing with. Because I've experienced it myself in my own life with many different people. And what do? When you speak on it and you suggest that, or you just express your feelings that you feel like they don't care about you, in my experience, they got very mad. They kind of went to making accusations against me and acting as though I'm selfish and I don't care. Or they just started making demands. They became very entitled. They went into denial or just blaming, but you know what they never did? they never actually took any action to correct it. Which is very funny, because in pretty much every situation in my life, whenever someone ever came to me, they confronted me, and they may have been completely right in doing that. And they told me that I should care more about something or someone. I need to do more. I need to be more. I'm thinking, yeah, what have I got to do? Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I did do it every time. I went above and beyond. I went out of my way to please them, to satisfy them, to make them happy. Most of them, though, they never really cared. They never even said thank you. They never appreciated it. They just became even more entitled and made even more demands, but never did anything for me in return. And I know I'm not alone. I know there's other empaths out there who have been through this exact same thing. As I've said before, most empaths in the world, they're likely to be alone and isolated. They're almost always the scapegoat child. They're targeted by their family, maybe in their workplace, their school, in their community. This is just how it is. This is just how it goes. And I would just like to say, I would like to speak on behalf of everyone that I am very sorry for those of you who feel like you are alone in this world. You feel like you don't matter. You feel like no one cares about you. And I want you to know that I do care. I read your comments every day. I've been doing it for over 5 years now. And I do care about all of you a lot. Everyone who makes themselves known on this channel. And you show your appreciation to me. You show your support. I care about all of you. I really do. And I think it's very important that we do show people just how much we care. We need to promote and encourage this type of behavior. I mean, this world is just getting worse. There's a lot of things that are going on. And it's becoming normalized, things that just never would have existed 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It just keeps getting worse. And we need to be the change that we want to see in this world. It all starts with us. We can't change other people, but we can change ourselves. We can be the change that we want to see. And hopefully that will help to influence other people. And that's definitely a part of my motivation. It's what makes me want to get on here every day and do this. To just try and spread the love and positivity. because there's not much love in this world anymore. There really isn't. The sad truth is, most people are not willing to go live on YouTube and speak in front of tens of thousands of people around the world. I just come out and say that, yeah, the reality is most people in the world do not care about each other. They don't feel what you feel. But I think it's very important to speak on this and to accept it. Because with acceptance, we can then change it. We can then make it better. As long as we deny it, we reject it, nothing is going to change. And this world is never going to change completely. I mean, there's always going to be positive and negative. There's always going to be good things and bad things, and we do kind of need the bad and the negative as well. That does have a place in the world. But it's getting out of hand these days. I mean, there's not so much good in the world anymore. Just look at the things that people are going through. Look at all of the wars. And it's just not nice to see. Especially as empaths, we just take on all of this energy as if it's our own. But what you need to do when people project this energy and emotion onto you, use it. Use that fear, that anger, that grief, that shame. Transmute it into something to where you can help other people. Instead of using it to become hateful, like they do, like they did to you. Let's focus more on connection rather than hating each other. I mean, I genuinely believe that all of us, we all have good things about us inside. There's something beautiful about everyone. I do believe that. And many of us who seem bad, we seem no good, evil, whatever it is. Maybe they were just around the wrong people, in a bad environment. Maybe they just spent too much time alone. That can do things to you as well. This is why if you put those types of people in the right environment, around the right types of people who are supportive and encouraging, they're motivating and inspiring, you would see a very different person after a certain amount of time. So what I'm saying is, we are all responsible. When we see anything bad, anything wrong, anything evil in this world, we all have a duty. We are all equally responsible for that. And we need to accept it. We need to be the change that we want to see in the world. And I take it upon myself. That's why I began this channel. Started making these videos because I knew no one else is going to do it. Or not many people at least. I have to take responsibility for the bad, the evil that I see in this world. And begin by inspiring and motivating people. So that's really the message that I want to finish with tonight. And I hope that it motivates you to be the change that you want to see in this world. It all starts with us. So thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video. And if this video was helpful to you, you can show your support down below by giving it a thumbs up. Very important, as it helps to get this message out there to other survivors, other empaths as well. And you can let me know your thoughts on this video in the comment section down below. Also hit that subscribe button and click all notifications to be notified of my future videos. And if you'd like to book a one-on-one with me, you can do that on my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also you can follow me on Instagram. It's Narc Survivor YouTube. As always, thank you all for joining me. And I look forward to talking with you in another live video very soon.